Good morning, my friends. It's Brekky In The Cave. Brand new intro, all sorted and lively. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to make a couple of edits of that for different days. We kick off with something from Earthnut. This one, their brand new release, it dropped yesterday on Beast Wang. Yummy. Yeah, you got that. Out to all the early morning locked in crew, we've got an amazing show on the way. I'm going to be talking all about it in just a few minutes, so keep it locked, don't go anywhere. Out to man like Papa D, how you doing this morning, sir? Lovely way to kick off the show this morning. Sounds of the Earthnut on that one. Track entitled Yummy. It is a Bieber remix, but it's been done very, very well. I've got to say, very, very smooth stuff. Very, very exciting indeed. Out to everyone locked in so far this morning, it is Brekky In The Cave, and out to everyone listening back via the daily podcast that does go up via Spotify, Apple Music, and SoundCloud as well. There's loads of stuff to talk about today. We've got two very special guests joining us. We're going to be joined by Duploc in the final half an hour of the show. For those that aren't aware, Duploc is one of the most influential platforms currently working in and around the dubstep sphere right about now. As well as that, we're going to be joined by the brand new Don't Flop champion, Craft D. He's going to be on the line from around 10:30, so in around 25 minutes or so, we're going to be looking through his kind of route to the chain and his other work as well. Also, we're going to be looking into all the big events that are taking place this weekend via the fantastic thing we call the internet. We're going to be looking into all of the sort of live streams, all of the kind of like live gatherings that we're going to be able to look at online, including Defected. There's a new Jamie Duggan one. There's the new Pharaoh K event, which we did look at yesterday, but we're going to add it into the bunch as well. And there's a load of other beats as well, so we're going to be looking into those. We're also going to be looking at the new PlayStation 5. There's been some new controller images floating around. We're going to be looking at a new piece of tech that's been attached to WhatsApp, which is basically stopping misinformation being spread, which is quite cool indeed. Also, we're going to be looking at new updates for Netflix as well. So there is loads of stuff to talk about. Out to everyone who did catch the interview I put up with Manga yesterday. Really, really cool to see. And there was quite a lot of people who did really like that one as well. There was quite a lot of It was quite unexpected because it was quite a big interview to randomly sort of get, but it was a good one. We've got loads of good stuff coming on the way from 3000 over the next few days as well. Also, out to everyone who's checked out the new Introducing release, because it's from Higo and it's an absolute banger. And yeah, we did actually clock yesterday that 3 of those tracks have now been put into the UK Garage playlist over on Spotify. So really, really cool stuff. It's been a really, really cool start to the week, to be honest with you. As you can probably see, I am now rocking a new chair, which is very enjoyable. It means I don't have to sit completely still because my other chair was so loud and so aggravating aggravating. So there we go. And then following that as well, we do have a couple other bits floating around, including that brand new intro, which we made yesterday as well. So there we go. Really, really cool stuff. A really good start to the show. We're going to kick off with some more fresh UKG flavours. This one, part of the Kiwi Cup tournament. Obviously, it is the Conductor's label, Kiwi Recordings, have put together they put it together as it's called the Kiwi Cup, but it's basically a remix competition, and you have to remix one of the tracks, and then the best ones will all get picked up for release, essentially. This one is MPH's remix of Cool Today by Prescribe the Vibe. Really like Prescribe the Vibe, and of course, as you can tell if you watch the show, I am a massive MPH fan as well. So we're going to get into this one right about now. It's just gone 6 minutes past 10 here. We are live on Brekky In The Cave, waking up your morning perfectly. Don't go anywhere. Out to the man like Hulk. What are you saying this morning, sir? How are you doing? This one, though. Wonky flavours on this one. Part of the Kiwi Cup. Sounds of the MPH. Remix flavours of Prescribe the Vibes. Cool Today. Out a man like Hulk. As a massive old school UKG fan, I never realised music was still being released. I need to get back into it badly. You certainly do, sir. This is the show to be at. Garage is in a really, really good place, and I'd love to show you exactly what's going down. Some bangers being made. Absolute bangers. There we go. Sound to the MPH on that one. Cool Today. Prescribe the Vibe on the original. It's MPH on the remix, part of the Kiwi Cup. I don't actually know when the results for that are going to be out, but there's going to be loads of bangers floating around. I've seen Dominius has a remix popping as well. I was in my inbox this morning. I need to check it. I woke up a little bit late today. I don't really know why, but I'm feeling a little bit knackered today. It's quite bizarre. I'm finding myself actually getting into this routine finally of waking up at a certain time, doing what I need to do in the daytime. I'm literally building myself into a routine so it feels a bit more like normality, because as we know, we're going to be in this situation for a while. Let's all be realistic about things. So what I think people do need to be doing is moving into that system of having a routine kind of like they would have during a normal 9 to 5 or during their normal sort of day-to-day life, because I think it's important. It is important to have that routine. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you working as well, which I'm finding quite interesting. I'm actually finding now I've found my routine. I'm doing near enough just as much as I would be if I was still doing radio full time. So for those that don't know, I do run a breakfast show from 7 till 10 Monday to Friday as a day job normally. But obviously, as the station is temporarily closed due to the current scenario, we're doing this on this channel temporarily. And trying to build up a little bit of a following, putting up gaming videos, putting up like sort of archived content videos as well. We're going to be starting to put up new music on here as well. So there we go. There's going to be loads of stuff floating around this channel. So new viewers, please do hit that subscribe button, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing. There's loads of stuff on the way, honestly, as we're sort of like a bit of a platform for 3000.co.uk. We're a bit of a platform for Juno. We're a bit of a platform for South Point as well. Obviously, all projects that I'm involved in. So I want to make sure this platform is showcasing as much as possible. So we're going to keep the good vibes rolling, because we're going to run through the good news live blog, essentially, which is something I'm trying to keep up with every day. April the 8th, the entries are so from yesterday, Jamie Duggan's doing a 12-hour live set for the Baseline fans. This is one for you. The Baseline OG will be going deep into his record bag in aid of the NHS, and this will be packed with bangers. Boots off at midday UK time on Saturday. Watch via Facebook. So he's going 12 till 12. We've seen the 24-hour ones. We've seen Pharaoh K doing a 24-hour one. We've already seen DJ Eza doing a 24-hour one. Jamie Duggan's doing a 12-hour one, which says to me it's going to be pretty much it's going to be pretty solid the whole way through. You know what I mean? Not that the other ones won't be, but I feel in a 12-hour set, you're going to be able to pack in a lot more energy, because you're not going to be searching for tunes half the time. You know what I mean? You've got to remember it's half the time. Also on April the 8th, we saw that Defected is going large again this weekend. The third edition of Defected's virtual festival goes live on Friday at 2 p.m. BST, with a lineup that will feature Black Motion, Mike Dunn, Sam Divine, and more. Calvin Harris will headline under his Love Generator alias, which is something of a coup. You can head over there to the Defected website to work out more about that. So obviously Defected is one of the biggest house music labels currently floating around. The Roland company has unlocked Zen Beats. Now this actually happened a few days ago, so this isn't actually that new, but you can get the brand new version of the Zen Beats app from Roland for free, which is really, really cool. It's almost like a composer sort of app, and you can pretty much sit there, put together, make some really kind of cool wavy sort of UK hip hop sort of flavors on there, and it works really, really well. I've had a go at the app. It is actually a really good way of passing the time. And SoundCloud has launched a creator forum. SoundCloud's creator forum is a new educational resource that's aiming to help you navigate the music industry from the creativity to the business side of things. So there you go. There's a new thing to do. There's so many new things to do. So many people are launching new platforms that they may have previously been kind of like holding back for a rainy day, and it's really, really cool to see. It's good to see SoundCloud getting in on the act as well. Yesterday, we also saw the prototypes are going for a 24 hours live mix as well. The also Association for the Independent Music launches £1 million in funding. DGTL is going digital, which is Amsterdam's digital festival. It was supposed to take place this weekend. Organisers are now taking it online, so you'll be able to see that as well. Who's Up for a House Party is a headline I'm reading here. Club legend Jody Harsh, is hosting the Harsh House Party over on our Instagram live on Friday and Saturday night. You can follow her on Instagram to gain entry. There we go. There's loads of stuff happening, man. You know what I mean? Even if live streaming isn't necessarily your thing, there is still loads of stuff you can get involved with. So we're going to move into this one next. Now, this one I got sent over yesterday from High Focus, a new sort of take on UK hip-hop and its kind of layout. This one goes by the name of Beaten Gold. It's by Telemachus, featuring Penelope Oddity. So there we go. We're going to get into this one now. Very unusual flavours on this one, and yeah, we'll see you in just a second. It's Cubcam TV. Don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave with myself, Kovu, in the hot seat. Flavours on this one. Telemakers. Beats and Gold featuring Penelope Oddity. This one brand new from the High Focus Recordings camp. Super wonky flavours. Really liking this one, I've got to say. We've seen a lot of the new High Focus stuff go down a lot more sort of, much more of a grimy route, which has been quite interesting to watch. We're seeing a lot of people kind of take on more sort of like, more sort of 140-ish approach, more sort of modernised, sort of almost grime in general as their approach, almost like drillish as well with some of the new stuff they've been putting out there. But it's really cool to see this one going back down a much more experimental hip-hop route. Obviously, we don't want to stick on the sort of dustier side of boom bap forever. We do want to see stuff advancing, but this is definitely the direction I'd be very kind of cool to kind of cool to see them go down. So yeah, there we go. It's good stuff to kick off the morning properly with. Next up, we're going to be looking at this, which is WhatsApp introducing new measures to stop the spread of fake news. Are you sick of family members constantly sending you misinformation that is related to coronavirus? Well, WhatsApp has now come up with a new method of trying to stop that. The popular messaging app has now restricted many forwarded messages, and they can only now be sent one time. WhatsApp announced earlier today that frequently forwarded messages defined as messages that have already been forwarded 5 times will be allowed to be forwarded to one user at a time, essentially. So you can only do one person at a go. You can't put them into group chats by the sounds of things. The company has said in a blog post, we've seen a significant increase in the amount of forwarding which users have told us can feel overwhelming and contribute to the spread of misinformation. We believe it's important to slow the spread of these messages slow the messages down, to keep WhatsApp a place for personal conversation rather than a place for misinformation to be spread. The introduction of a limit on frequently forwarded messages is a part of WhatsApp's plans to reduce the amount of COVID-19 misinformation which has been circulating on WhatsApp recently. I like this. Because I'm seeing a lot of misinformation on different social media networks, and I won't lie, I only really use WhatsApp to pretty much call people from this room. That's pretty much the only reason I use WhatsApp for. I don't really use it as a social media network. I'm not really in many groups. I'm in one FIFA group and one football team group, and that's literally it for me. Like, I'm not a big WhatsApp user, but I think if there is a lot of misinformation being spread, I think putting a stop to it is very, very important indeed. I think realistically, I mean, my opinion on this is it's quite well documented. I think everyone should actually go and do their own independent research before forming an opinion based on something they've read from a friend sending them something. However, 90% of the time, that isn't what people are going to do. They're going to read something and either take it as gospel or not believe it. So I think this is good that WhatsApp are putting something like this in place. And obviously, we'd love to see this also happen on Twitter and Facebook, but I can't see it happening anytime soon. I don't know. I don't really know why they're not that keen on doing it. But yeah, there we go. It is interesting to see. We're going to move into another banger next. This one coming from Hatter, produced by Husky, also known as 96 Honcho, I do believe. This one is the brand new single from him, Cold Again. This one's getting a lot of support. Obviously, bright and familiar. Hatter, it's really good to see him always putting out bangers, and it's the first thing I've heard from him in quite a while, actually. So we're going to get into this one now. Out to Hear No Evil management and all of the Trickstar gang as well. Just gone 21 minutes past 10 here. We are live on KXVU TV. It's Brekky In The Cave.
What's all that?
I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah. I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah.
Trust me, nights out got me husky. Lovely brand to Dundee, I'm comfy. Doing up work, why in a onesie? Track your shirt, sweet like I met Mumsy. Give me the fear gets jumpy. Now I'm paid monthly, they're cheap like they're on Gumtree. Had more dots than gum on the concrete. If your vibe's off key, you best off ski. Man, you can't mock me on the country. My life's a documentary, so I'm busting shots at Henny. This rider's complimentary, huh? Stop and check me, consequences often heavy, so we're moving light. Positive, don't cost a penny, Stop and check me, consequences often heavy, so we're moving light. Positive, don't cost a penny, huh?
I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah. I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah.
Exhale, rappers chest shaped like your ex-girl. Big Mac man, that's XL. Tryna spread sheets in Excel. Stood tall while the rest fell. Still no justice for Grenfell. Lies, deceit, sex sells. Keep your receipts for the next sale, No returning your mistakes. Candles burning till it's late. Trying to earn in different ways and make that journey to the stage. Baking off in the back of a vintage whip. Now you can't buy this is vintage drip. I'm man at all late cause I've been the shade.
I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah. I was the boss again, couldn't stay home again. Out in the cold again, stressed so I can't stop smoking blend. Long time I been home by 10. Obstacles jump over them, obstacles jump over them. Stressed so I can't stop smoking blend, yeah.
Wicked flavours on this one. Absolute roller. Coming from Hatter, that one produced by Husky, Cold Again. Really cool vibes from him. Something very different as well. Normally used to him doing a more sort of, I'd say more of a sort of UK hip-hop inspired thing. That's very much more down that sort of trappy avenue. Really, really cool tune there. So what we're going to do is jump into one more before we move into this conversation with a man like Craft D, the current Don't Flop champion, someone who I've known for a fair few years now, very much involved in live events and spoken word work around Bristol. So we're going to be getting into a conversation with him in around 5 minutes or so. But before that, we're going to get into yet another banger from our daily selection. So if you haven't gone and checked out Manga Saint Hilaire's new album, I would really, really recommend it. It's definitely one of the strongest projects of the year so far. Really, really cool list of collaborators as well, which is something that I find quite interesting. In the interview we did, he did say that he didn't feel there were many actual collabs on there. It was just kind of working with friends the majority of the time. But I counted through. There was over I think there's about 12 features in total, which is a lot of people to have on a full track album. Especially I think there's 15 tracks in total and there's 12 features, so it works out nearly just under one collab a track. And obviously there's like 3 or 4 people on certain tracks or whatever. But yeah, there we go. It's quite interesting to see. We're going to get into this one then. This is my favourite track off the album, featuring a man like Jafro. This one is Sorry For Your Sorrows. And yeah, it's a really good representation, I think, of how to put together a spicy collaboration on a grime album these days. So there we go. We're going to jump into this one and then get onto the phone with a man like Crafty, which I'm really, really looking forward to. And then following that, we're going to get into a conversation with Duploc as well, who are basically the hosts of the Dubstep Awards, and they have a brand new release out this week as well. So it's going to be very enjoyable to get into. Don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave here on KXVU TV. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry for the things that I've said, I was in pain. I shouldn't have had you feeling away, had you carrying baggage and weren't the case. Of me not trusting you, I did it in case you turned around and did be like before. That broke me and I wasn't the same. It's not an excuse, I want to explain that. You was a good woman who couldn't have changed me. I let ego get in my way, let my fears lead me astray. I was the present, I shouldn't have stayed. I should have let you walk away, and I'll always be in debt to you. I wish I could pay for your mistakes. You'll go get what's next for you, and I hope and pray to keep you safe.
I sometimes struggle to keep my balance. I'm not perfect despite my talent. I get better with every battle. I grow stronger in every challenge. Truth can be so hard to swallow, so I'm sorry for all my sorrows. But this is today, and there's still tomorrow.
I felt like I let you down, even though you're saying that you're happy and proud. So many of the years I was hanging around the house and out here trying to
Sounds of the manga.
run me off or run me down. You could've easily kicked me out. I wish I knew what I knew now. Could you roast me up and held me down? All the advice I never took or used, I never heard because I thought I knew. I could've learnt from every scar and bruise. I didn't pay back every IOU. I could've been a better brother and a better son, better boyfriend and an uncle too. All my friendships that fell apart, hope our frequencies reconnect soon.
I sometimes struggle to keep my balance. I'm not perfect despite my talent. I get better with every battle. I grow stronger in every challenge. Truth can be so hard to swallow, so I'm sorry for all my sorrows. But this is today, and there's still tomorrow.
Even when I knew better, I didn't do better. Should've told the truth when I made a mistake. Promise I never planned this, I just reacted. Sometimes my vibe is off for some days. Even if you leave me, I understand it. I want peace, I wish you the same. Even when I lose, I gain understanding, and I'm trying to be better with each day. Even when I knew better, I didn't do better. Should've told the truth when I made a mistake. Promise I never planned this, I just reacted. Sometimes my vibe is off for some days. Even if you leave me, I understand it. I want peace, I wish you the same. Even when I lose, I gain understanding, and I'm trying to be better with each day.
I sometimes struggle to keep my balance. I'm not perfect despite my talent. I get better with every battle. I grow stronger in every challenge. Truth can be so hard to swallow, so I'm sorry for all my sorrows. But this is today, and there's still tomorrow.
Yeah, shout out all of us who got our harp stroking, man. It's alright though, you get me? We're healing. You see me? Plenty more fish in the sea, cuz.
I don't wanna let anybody down. Being the one that everybody's cool with ain't as cool as it sounds. Every 10 minutes somebody's calling or they're texting me down. I don't wanna go nowhere, bro, I'm cool in my house. I'm just looking at my phone ringing out, text me what you're calling about. Yo, brother, yeah, man just got up, and that's getting me down. Now the fact that I'm still not up, that's getting me down. Yeah, that's getting me down. Bro.
But people still come to watch me show. I think that I must be a Destiny's Child. I guess it was written, I know that God wouldn't mess me around. I ain't changed who I'm around, I changed how I'm around. My vibe ain't for everyone, I'm aware of that now. Yeah. And if we ain't close, I keep my distance. I can still love you and not see you. I ain't gotta go like up your pictures. You know me in real life, I'm not malicious or vindictive. You shouldn't be focused on them things. You need to go switch up your thinking, for real. I got the same problems as last year, I just approached them different. And all of my issues I have are clearly self-inflicted. I kept all of my fuck-ups out there like the song's explicit. I'm sorry for the things I've done, I'm sorry for the things I didn't.
Right then, we are back on the line with yet another fantastic guest this morning. It's Brekky In The Cave here live from the Cave Studio. It's with myself, Kovu. It's been a very enjoyable run so far. This morning, we are joined by the brand new Duploc champion and long-standing member of the UK battle rap community, Crafty. How are you doing this morning, sir? You all good?
I'm good, sir. Thank you very much for having me. How are you, man?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. It's good to hear from you. It's been a bit of a hot minute since we last spoke.
Yeah, I think I must have probably last seen you when you were, DJing at one of the live events that I was performing at.
I think so, man. I think that's what it was. It's been a while. There's been a lot of kind of changing sort of scenery. The kind of layout of everything's changed since then. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I want to start off by going like sort of back to the very start of it, like in regards to like battle rap within the UK, which is going to be the primary talk of this conversation, obviously. Like with that, what was the first thing that got you involved and interested in that world?
Jeez, when I was in college, I was watching a bunch of very good rappers performing mainly on Duploc, but around the world as well. And I saw some absolutely fantastic people like sort of obvious ones like Lunacy and Mark Grist and people who went viral, but I was also kind of watching some of the other cats as well when Tony D and Straight Horror were coming through. It was very exciting, so I'd been aware of it since I was about 16.
Okay, wow. So it was something that was kind of it was on your sort of like daily watching, shall we say? Like everyone, but I think that's back then. Everyone was sort of putting together their sort of like YouTube playlists of what they wanted to watch every evening. With that sort of scenario.
Yeah, and and I wasn't following it religiously, but there were a few battles I'd always show people, ones that I'd always look up when I was feeling a bit bored, like that I'd watch. I had my favourites, so I wasn't following it as much, but I was really, at that point, I already knew that the best craft of lyricism and bars and punchlines was coming from battle rap.
Definitely, man. I can definitely agree, and I think that was a similar thing that drew me to it at the time as well. It was quite bizarre because I was in college, I think, when I first saw about it, and that was very much like the immediate kind of impact of how clever everything was written down and how well people were kind of like projecting and everything like that, and it being almost like a mixture at the time of comedy and essentially good rapping. It was something that drew a lot of people in. I think that's why that period there had such a big influx of fans. What were you kind of doing before? Were you interested in sort of rap music before?
Do you know what, man? I was writing music. I was rapping. I mean, I was a kid or early teenager at that point, but I was already rapping. And I'd been writing poetry and that kind of stuff since I was young, anyway. Okay. So I'd always been interested in writing of all types. But I guess I then encountered like spoken word and the performance side of poetry and the more hip hop theater side of poetry, which I'm more involved in these days than I was back then. And battle rap as well, going back to that, I mean, it really blended those worlds. You're getting the real poetic side of writing and the very theatrical side of performance, and like you say, the comedy, the sort of storytelling aspect of creating a narrative for an audience, all blended into this one art form. And I think that's what still to this day keeps me involved and keeps appealing.
Nice, man. I mean, as you said, there is very much that kind of storytelling element to things. So let's kind of like move forward a couple of years. Obviously, the scene changes quite drastically over a few years. It goes from essentially being in like Brixton Jam being like the main sort of venue. We then start to see places like Stylus in Leeds. We see Plug in Sheffield. We see what's the big one? Ministry of Sound in London.
Ministry of Sound,
like huge like Ministry of Sound being like a globally renowned venue. Like, at what point did you find yourself getting that inkling to go, you know what, I want to give this a go?
Do you know what? I've been thinking about it for a while. I think it's one of the ones I never thought I would, and then suddenly I was like, oh, maybe I'll give this a try. I think I was watching some of the tryout events and being like, I'd beat these guys, and feeling a little bit of confidence about it. And then I met Harry Baker, who's also a poet and a battle rapper at university. Oh, okay. So we went to both at Bristol at the time. So I got to know him a bit, and we chat about it, and he was kind of nudging me to do it, and then one time we were performing at the same event in London, and like Rowan, who runs it, and a few others, they were there, like C Major, a few of them, and I just met them there. I'd never met them before, and actually, I was like, yo, your style would work really well for battle rap. Come and do a tryout. And then I ended up at the Fiddler's Elbow a couple months later, at the legendary Fiddler's Elbow, and I just did it. And I didn't really plan to do that many of them, but here we are.
Here we are. The maddest thing about that story as well is that it's almost a case of being scouted.
Yeah, right. And I think that was kind of that's what's interesting, because at the time, and now even to this day, you can send in applications to do it, and you can email them, but I think it's pretty rare that they'd actually go, you come and do the battle. They're coming to the rapper rather than the rapper coming to the organization. And so that was really cool, man. That was actually a nice confidence boost, and already going into the battle being like, all right, they're aware of me and they think I'm going to be good, so I'm already at a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think we're doing I think that extra element as well. I mean, battle rap is all about confidence. That's pretty obvious to see from an outside perspective. Having that thing of people already thinking you're good regardless of the scenario. That must have been when you were putting together like the material for your first one. Did that affect your writing at all?
Yeah, I was just trying to showcase everything. So I was like, well, I've got 2 60-second rounds. Literally, they were that short at the time if you were a tryout MC. So I was like, I want to be funny. I want to get some room shakers. I want some punchlines. I want to do some schemy bits, just a whole bunch really. Do a bit of narrative, do a bit of angle. So trying to get it all in was actually really tough. And yeah, confidence is a big part of it. And I think now I'm a lot more confident with it than I was then. I have a lot more performance experience now than I did then. A lot more experience just rapping and public speaking in front of people.
Okay.
So if you look at some of my older battles compared to like my newer stuff, I think that will come across a lot.
Okay, so when you were like, obviously you're doing your tryout. Now, give me this is something I ask as many people as possible who have been involved in battle rap. What does the actual feeling of stepping into the ring for the first time feel like?
It's very nerve-wracking. I mean, the first time you do it, it's like the first time you do anything that's a little bit scary. Like, it feels overpowering. I mean, there's a feeling of like you need the toilet constantly. You go to the toilet 10 times and you'll still need the toilet. Yeah. Just because you're that nervous about it. And I was standing by the bar because I was the 5th tryout in a row. There was like a string of them, and there were 4 before me. So I was watching the battles and looking at the crowd and trying to just be in the crowd to feel what it's like in the crowd.
Okay. And
then walking through before it started. It was kind of, there's been more nerve-wracking battles than that though, because there was no expectation. No one knew who the fuck I was. I just had to prove, just to get them on side early, which I managed to do with a couple sort of funny lines and stuff. But that was, the feeling is like no other, because you have no idea. I was like, I could be really good at this and I could be really bad. I'm about to find out.
Yeah, I think the most bizarre thing I found is that as soon as you actually make that walk into the ring and as soon as you're in that circle, you can't leave. That's it, done. You are now locked into this, regardless of whatever they say. You are in front of this person who you may or may not know. You don't know how good they're going to be, especially from a tryout perspective, because you don't know how good they're going to be. You don't know how invested in the sort of like battle rap world they want to be or anything along those lines. It's pretty much like you are walking completely into the unknown.
Yeah, and in my one, the opponent, Ambi, he went first. Okay. And that was just, I mean, he was being really personal. Like, he'd researched stuff about me and like found little bits of information and was really like embellishing stuff that wasn't true. And I was like, oh my God, like these were already here against me, the crowd. So I mean, I was feeling like a bit of pressure at that moment, and then managed to kind of just, like I say, start my round, just get into the flow of it, get a few reactions, and then it was fine from then on. Then the adrenaline kicks in. Then you're really looking forward to what you're about to spit, and really looking forward to your next round. So it's really strange.
It's one of the most bizarre, unusual, and I'd say otherworldly experiences that I've ever gone through. And it's just I like to ask as many people who I interview who have battled at some point. I really like to ask that feeling, because what you tend to find with the sort of more experienced kind of hip-hop heads, the people who've been rapping for a while, like been doing sort of rap music as a sort of either a career path or like a pastime for an extended period of time, they tend to say, yeah, I just treated it like anything else. But you find the younger people who have grown up on battle rap being like its own individual format, you tend to find they're a lot more nervous about it.
Yeah, but it's bigger than it was back then.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't being filmed. They weren't being put permanently on YouTube. There wasn't as much gravitas and expectation around the culture of battle rap. So I think people doing it now, there is that level of expectation. The standard has been set. And you're coming in, you better be good. You better be able to hang with people. And that was, you know, one of the big parts of it for me. Like I said earlier, it's the master place for lyricism. It's the playground for it. If you want to prove that you're a great writer, a great rapper, do battle rap, go and beat some of the best battle rappers, because they're doing stuff that people on music aren't doing. And they're very different things. They're different skill sets, almost completely. I'd even say that battle rap is, in the modern days, probably closer to things like theatre and spoken word than it is to hip-hop.
I'd agree with that as well. I think more than anything else, it's that performance element, and I think, again, as you said, it's that expectation of people being able to, one, pick people apart, and two, being able to make you laugh. Like, music as like, if you're making music as like a career, it's very rare you're going to be trying to make people laugh with what you're saying. It's very rare you're going to try and make people go, oh, with what you're saying. You know what I mean? You're primarily trying to put together a solid piece of compositional work, whereas with this, there's storytelling in music. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but you're not trying to take people on a journey and make people purposely dislike another person. You know what I mean? You're not trying to swing public opinion on someone in every single tune.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's this YouTube channel in America called Ruin Your Day. some non-battle rap fans might not be aware of, but it's amazing. I think it's a really good window into battle rap if you don't watch it, because you've got some experts and legends in the game just watching and commentating on it. And I watched one the other day with Disaster, and I mean, he had a notepad and paper in front of him, and he was just taking notes on every single line, stopping it and saying that bit didn't hit. This guy's winning because he's making you believe this, and this other person's not saying anything personal about him. It's that you have to be personal, you have to be attacking the opponent to be considered winning at this point, and really picking it apart. And you go, if you watch that, you really understand that there's so many levels of criteria to what's going on that make the people best at it the best.
Definitely, man.
There's a lot going on.
I think that was the I mean, we're not going to dive too much into like specifics, because obviously I don't want to go to our topic, and people may not know specifics, but that, I'm assuming that was the Roan and Sharon Ruin Your Day.
Yeah, and again, someone like Roan and Sharon, if you're listening to this, and you don't watch battle rap, watch that, because it's brilliant.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's a very good window into the sort of different... I think pretty much every element of battle rap does actually come into that as a concept, which is really, really cool. So, moving forward then, obviously, we're going to look more at your sort of like personal development within the scene. Obviously, you come from a more sort of spoken word background, and then you move into this sort of battle rap scene. So, describe the sort of first year of involvement then. How quickly did you find yourself getting involved with the community side of things, the live events? Like, how quickly did it happen?
Yeah, no, I mean, as soon as I did my tryout, even when I wasn't performing, I was trying to go to all the events. Like if there was an event in Sheffield, if there was an event in Leeds, wherever, I was going there because I was trying to learn and trying to see what people are doing and what's happening around the country. Because I dive into things. I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. And I also did 6 battles in, I think, 6-7 months space. I was doing them constantly. Managed to rise fairly quickly by doing that and just stacking up some wins. So that was my goal at the time. But as you said, there was this community aspect that, I mean, I had no idea about. These were just like, urban legends I watched on YouTube. They weren't real people to me for a long time. And so you start meeting them and just chatting about normal life. And then you're kind of like, you're Pamphlet, like I'm chatting to Pamphlet, like I watched you when I was like 15.
The weirdest thing,
get over that.
The weirdest thing about that I found when I was first going into it as well is because I was seeing people as more celebrities than sort of people I saw on telly. You know what I mean? Because there was actually a chance of you meeting these people and a chance of you knowing these people. I always felt the first sort of year for me on a personal level, I found everything to be a bit like whoa, like the entire way through. And then obviously it becomes more normalized as you go forward, and you end up being on like first name speaking terms with near enough everyone. But yeah, I mean, sorry, carry on, you go.
Oh no, I was just saying, people are really nice as well. Like there's so many, especially like the top tier, like big name guys, are really humble, nice people, and that was really good to learn about and know, because people in battles, it's a lot of bravado, obviously, and rightly so, and ego. You're trying to say I'm better than your opponent, so you don't know what people are going to be like when you meet them. But that was a really pleasant surprise, and I think, that was one of the challenges for me, was early on getting over that imposter syndrome. On my second or third battle, when rappers I really rate and hold in high regard coming up to me and giving me a compliment, trying to be like, okay, I need to internalize that. Not think about like that's Tony D. Or just be like, just roll with it and try and learn and try and grow and try and take advice as you go along. And then that's within a short period of time. I mean, some of that feeling never goes away, just because it's where you always remember where you came from and where you started. So, but that was definitely one of the challenges early on. Okay. I think a lot of rappers, like you said yourself as well, like that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Definitely, man. I think it's interesting to hear as well. Let's kind of like move forward then. So you've kind of got very, very involved in the scenario, and then obviously what happens with the UK, it kind of like splits up into loads of different divisions. There's a bit of controversy surrounding the main league, which was Don't Flop at the time. Everything kind of sort of like splits up into its own sort of little divisions, left, right, and centre. And then after about sort of a year and a half, 2 years of that, we see Premiere sort of come out on top as the main sort of platform. We then see Don't Flop come back into business with a more sort of regular sort of stream of more of sort of higher quality events. So how did you go from that sort of how did you personally kind of go into that sort of resurrection period and ending up in that title match?
Yeah, that's probably a layered question. It's a really tough one, but probably a necessary one. I think I work freelance generally in my life, and as a rapper and as a performer, I'm a freelancer. So if people are having disagreements, if people are falling out, that's not really my business to comment on.
Definitely.
If I'm going to make a comment on it, it's in a way to try and help resolve it and bring people together. And that's happening a lot now. I think that a lot of it's died down. A lot of people who weren't talking to each other are now on speaking terms again, which is great to see. Different leagues doing their thing, promoting battle rap, really in different cities as well, using different cities as their base is really important and should happen anyway, regardless. So I think it was a tough time, and there was a long period of time where there wasn't any content coming out of UK battle rap, but that seems to have resolved itself now. So when I was in that period, I was doing other things anyway, and I'd been offered a lot of battles, but it wasn't the right time, and it wasn't the right opponent, or whatever it was. And then on 2 week prep out of nowhere, and by the way, at this time, I thought I was pretty much done with it. I'd had a couple bad experiences that I was like, it's not doing this anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I've got other things to focus on. I got offered a guy called Matter on 2 weeks prep. And for some reason, I said yes. I was just like, it's a great challenge. I got 2 weeks to write and rehearse and do this. I did that battle. It was pretty weird. Again, it was really when they were just treading their toes. Don't flop. This is into live events again, and it was a last minute one. It was hardly any people there. The crowd weren't really reacting, but it was received really well online. And then I got offered to battle Quill again, who's one of the sort of top tier best guys in the UK. Battled him, and these are the guys I've been wanting to battle for years, so I was quite motivated. Battled him, and then tail end of last year, battled an international called Red Flag, one of the great up and comers in New York at the moment. And then that was a streak of 3 battles that I'd, been perceived to have done really well in. And then that's when they offered me the title shot against Unanimous, who is, one of the legends of not just UK battle rap, but global battle rap. He's absolutely incredible. So that title match happened on Feb 29th, just gone. So really it was in that year, it was a chance for me to kind of put everything else behind me and go, let me just have a run. Let me just do a few battles. And it ended up unknowingly being a title run. So
there we go.
What happened.
It's an interesting story, man. So let's get into obviously we don't want to just ruin any of the footage or anything like that, but how do you feel the title match went then? How did you prep for it as well?
It was an epic event, man. Like, it was a sick crowd. It was, we really both came out swinging. Like, the first rounds, I think got to the end of those first rounds and you were like, this is a war right now. This is an actual war. And my momentum kind of went up and his kind of went down, just in the sense that he had a few stumbles and chokes and things like that, or he'd forgotten his lines. But, there was a common opinion going around the room afterwards that I was winning anyway and would have won anyway. So I was trying, and I'm still trying not to think of that as a factor, because he could have been better, but his material was still great, and it will be a very watchable battle, I think, when it comes out online. But the prep for it, we had quite a long time to prep for it, but I actually left it pretty late for that one. I'd done a lot of my writing early on, left it for a long time, had other stuff going on, got really busy, and then came back to it. But sometimes under that pressure, I love it. I love having that pressure. I need to write my best stuff right out this week, and that's kind of how I went about it. And the hardest thing really was selecting angles, because again, when you're against someone who's a legend, when so much, they've been through a lot, they've battled big people, everyone said everything to them, how do you say original stuff to them? That was a big challenge. And my strategy was really to just, again, balance comedy with rapping and with bars and with angles. So I went quite personal in my second round. I always go that personal, but I went super personal.
Nice. It's interesting to hear again about that sort of prep process, because I remember watching a lot of sort of commentaries and sort of podcasts in the lead up, and everyone was kind of under this assumption that you were going to be doing literally religiously doing this sort of prep for this one.
I think people say what they want to say. That's a part of the culture. That's why you can't go on the YouTube comments and the forums too much and read what people are saying about you, because it'll drive you nuts. People, I thrive when I'm the underdog. When people are saying I'm not going to win, that motivates me. And again, people were just saying, Yunan's got it, Graf doesn't have a chance, he's not going to win, he's not good enough, he's not as good as him. So I was just there like, hey, fuck you guys, like, I don't know if this is a PG radio station, my bad, but like, that kind of mentality has got to drive you. If it doesn't, you're in the wrong sport.
Definitely. If
you let that affect you and get you down and internalize it, that's it. You've got to prove people wrong. But that was my approach going into it. I was hungry, and I don't want to say I was prepping more than he was, but you know, at the end of the day, he could have rehearsed his bars a little more. What he'd written was amazing.
Okay, I mean, like with this whole sort of scenario, then obviously we've sort of touched very briefly on the sort of community element of it and the sort of idea of obviously message boards and forums and comments and stuff. Like, is that something you completely steer away from when you can?
Yeah, I mean, I was out of those for 2 or 3 years. So I just left them completely because I found them really cancerous and really toxic. And I think when you talk about a lot of these fallouts that happened, I think a lot of it happened over social media. People posting things being hearsay, people throwing shots. And, you know, I'm always a fan of people talking to each other. And I think, so this is, I'm not talking about the staff here, by the way, that's their thing. I mean, everyone and everything around that. I think a lot of the people online who don't go to events, as a lot of people listening may know, had experience with people online who say things and do things that in real life they don't or wouldn't be comfortable doing. And I think battle rap, whilst the community element I was talking about is so important, and I stand by that, it does attract a very small minority of people who are not great and not saying great things. So I just kind of steered away. But, you know, in the last couple months, I got invited back into like the Don't Flop discussion forum, and I'm just in there and active because they're just doing challenges. And again, if any rappers are listening to this, join the Don't Flop discussion forum because they're doing these 8-word challenges and competitions and stuff. So it's just all positive. It's just people building content for each other because they're all in isolation. I think that's, like I said, that's a really nice thing about having a good community. Definitely. That sort of have a shared interest.
I think with that as well, especially, that it is something that is being used definitely to adapt to the current situation rather than kind of be against it, which is quite interesting. Like, obviously, you work in live events as well. You work in sort of like the realm of sort of spoken word and poetry. Like, just as a sort of a thing to sort of briefly touch on, how is this current scenario affecting that side of things?
Yeah, so I run and I'm involved in a few events and producing live events and curating things. So a lot of that obviously can't happen at the moment. I do regular events at like theatres in Bristol. We get MCs, spoken word artists, just performers of all kinds, really, doing like an eclectic sort of entertaining, really, really energetic performance for the crowd and those kind of events. So I love putting those on, and I'm also part of Bristol Poetry Festival, which we've put on for 2 years in a row now. And I mean, that festival this year couldn't finish. We couldn't do the last few events because of the COVID outbreak and having to pull them last minute. So a lot of things that were planned are no longer happening. So I mean, I think like anybody out there, we just need to stay safe, and we're unknown at the moment. We don't know how long it's going to be, but hopefully when that's all over, theatres and venues and all that aren't affected too much. The art scene isn't affected too much and can kind of pick up where it left off and keep producing things. I think hopefully venues and artistic endeavours and ventures are being protected enough so that can happen. But that would be my only worry. I personally think, like say, even things like what you're involved in, radio and club nights and stuff, I don't see why that can't continue afterwards, as long as everyone gets the support they need at this moment. I think definitely going back to that community aspect, that community element, if people are supporting each other, if as a country we're supporting each other, hopefully all these things, all our interests, our work, our hobbies can continue.
Definitely, man. I mean, what do you make of the current sort of wave of people really like almost doing things themselves from home then? Because obviously we're seeing a lot of people move into live streaming, a lot of people moving to almost like YouTubing. That's something I'm doing personally. Like, how do you feel people are adapting to the situation?
I mean, I think there's no doubt in many ways the world's going to be a different place after this. We're going to be living in a different world. Things are going to have changed. People are realizing things and noticing things that are now culminating in negative ways. People are now also realizing what they can positively do and how they can connect to people, like you say, YouTube, online, Instagram, Zoom, running meetings, workshops. You know, there's so much you can do from home, and I think that in terms of accessibility, I think that's really important. Some people don't want to go out and do things, or would rather stay at home and can do that, and are empowered to do that. And just also, we've run some workshops online. You know, I've led a couple workshops, writing workshops, and I've facilitated some other people's, and it worked really well. And bringing people around the country together, I think that wouldn't have been seen as an option before. I never would have been like, oh, why don't I do something online? Whereas now, after this is over, I probably will be trying to do more stuff online. So it definitely does change the way we think, the way we work. I mean, one of my things is there's so many things you go to that are meetings. You leave your house, you go to a meeting, and it's like that could have been a phone call or
Mate,
something.
That's something that I'm finding is being. You don't need to go to the office to literally send it. Like, you don't need to go to the office to send an email. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things like that I'm kind of finding. Like, you could just do that from home regardless. And I agree. I think we're going to see a lot more people, I think, maybe pushing for, like, working from home days if you're primarily just working in, like, I don't know, if you're just doing email stuff or admin. I think we're going to see a lot more people pushing
definitely.
for it. Definitely.
I mean, if you're commuting a long way as well, there's no point if you can do it from home.
Definitely, man. I think we're nearly out of time here. The time's absolutely flown. What I want to kind of ask you about is, like, obviously, when this scenario is all settled down, and if everything goes to plan, like, what's on the way for you? Like, what do you want to do for the rest of the year?
Yeah, you know, at the moment, I'm still working, but I'm trying to switch off a little bit and, like, allow myself to sit back and figure some of that out and just try new things. So that's not completely certain, but what I do know is I love rap, I love hip hop, I love literature, I love events, so I love the art scene. That stuff will continue. I'll probably be defending the title at the end of the year on Don't Flop. That's going to happen really at the end of year show, and do maybe one more as well on maybe Don't Flop or another platform. So I'll be doing battle rap, I'll be doing performances, and I'm at the moment trying to create some new work and write some new work. So again, I think not just for me but for other people, it's also important right now we don't put the pressure on ourselves. We've got this time in isolation, it's golden time, we need to, like, learn all these new skills and do all this stuff. Like, if that's going to be bad for your mental health and your balance of your general life, don't do that. Don't put crazy pressure on yourself. So I'm trying to sit at that balance at the moment.
Okay, cool. Right, well, we've pretty much run out of time. I tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure. What's the best place for people to get a hold of you on the socials?
Oh, so it's at Crafty, which is CRAFT_D on Twitter, and then on Instagram it's Yo Crafty.
Good stuff.
So if you hit me up on either of those, I'm always there.
Good stuff, man. Right, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to jump into a track next from Ransom FA and Kiko before we jump onto the line with Duploc. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you, bro. Take care.
Take care, dude. See you soon. Nice one. Right then, that was Man Like Crafty. Thanks to him for passing through for the last half an hour. This one, as I said, coming from Ransom FA and Kiko. This one is Northside. We're going to get into this one and then jump onto the line with a Duploc. Don't go anywhere. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Yeah. That's what they've been waiting for, yeah? Yeah. Catch me, I'm local. Yo, said catch, stand free. Yeah, right. I'm from the north side. Shout out my north guys. Out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Gonna try me, I win by landslide. Go get all the farm right, tell them to hang tight. I'm from the north side. Shout out my north guys. Out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Gonna try me, I win by landslide. Go get all the farm right, tell them to hang tight. Feel like a mad guy, got the boys on standby. Not blow my trumpet, I be blow my bagpipe. This is my life. Feel like my hands tied. Still roll with the gang though, but we don't do gang signs. Gotta go out and get, I can't just sit on my backside. Came with the sauce and wave, them boys just might get baptized. Always forward moving, man, I never backslide. Lyrical agility, finicky, never tongue-tied. Yeah, I'll meet you go with the bank I could make money with just a laptop and Wi-Fi. Wake up for the nightlife, vision past the eyesight, it's my time. Don't wanna look at it in hindsight. Granite City high-rise, trying to take it sky high. Still seen the highlights, praying for a high life. My brother told me shine bright, my brother told me blossom. I told him do not worry right now, I'm just playing possum. I'm back, I'm from the north side. Shout out my north guys, out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Gonna try me, I win by landslide. Go get all the farm right, tell them to hang tight. I'm from the north side, Shout my North guys. Out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Go on and try me. I'll win by landslide. Go get all the farm right. Tell them to hang tight.
I got this loose weight, I got to tomorrow to brush it off. It's a goose chase and I'm trying to get me a Audemars. Ain't no 2K. We also shooting until they gone. See my niggas hold it down. So for sure I'm breaking off. I see you niggas, but niggas are bitches, so I ain't seeing any different. Tell broski I'm fucked. So if you playing, keep your distance. I don't need any love. We gone up in a minute. Got my hood up on my back. I got some oats I'll be spilling. 4KJ, a young nigga, he the realest. 4KJ, a young nigga, he the trillest. I was on my block, young niggas, we was winning. All I do is hustle shit, I'll kill him for a killing. Northside baby, I'm a hero and a villain. 28 G's, man, I did shit in a minute. Knees keep talking, man, I just mind my business. 28 rappers, they're the hardest in the building.
I'm from the north side, shout my north guys. Out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Go on and try me, I'll win by landslide. Go get all the farm right, tell them to hang tight. I'm from the north side, shout my north guys. Out on a cold night, we taking it worldwide. Go on and try me, I'll win by landslide. Go get all the farm right, tell them to hang tight.
Right then, that one there coming from Ransom FA and Kiko, fresh out of Scotland. That one is Northside. Wicked tune, that one. Very unusual flavours, and it's good to see, as I've said, people still putting out original sounds over this current period of uncertainty. We are now moving into our second interview of the day. We're going to be joined on the line with a man like Duploc. How are you doing this morning, sir? You all good?
I'm good, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. I'm very busy this morning. Obviously, got a big amount of people on the show. Obviously, getting through as many interviews as we can and finding out as much as we can about different people. That's primarily like the point of this channel. Obviously, Duploc has become kind of like one of the biggest sort of platforms and most kind of respected platforms within the dubstep scene over the past few years. We've got loads to talk about. So first of all, thanks for taking the time out to jump on the line with us. First of all, I want to kind of get a bit of an understanding about what exactly Duploc is. Like, if we were to describe Duploc to someone, what would it be?
Oh, it's a pleasure to explain, man. To give you a little bit of a background story, I'm from Belgium and I live in a town, or basically in a city, where like underground culture is like not really here, I guess. So I just found out about dubstep through online stuff, and I started following channels, and that's why I launched my own channel, I guess back in 2012. And then I went from there. Really, I was not familiar with like the deeper sound system related stuff back then, because obviously like there was no scene, or there is no scene around here. So it was really hard to find that through. But so I started to promote, first of all, like the heavier kind of stuff. But then I rolled in after a few years, I guess, I think 2 years. It took me to get into like to the proper stuff. And yeah, that all fell under the name Duploc.com. That's basically the website. That's also the name for the YouTube channel, and that's basically how I try to brand like the promotional platform. And that was launched in 2012. And then apart from that, you also have Duploc. That's basically written in all capitals, and that was launched in 2015, and that's the label thing. So it's just me running both, but I'm trying to keep those brands a little bit separate for obvious reasons.
Nice, man. So I mean, obviously, just coming into it off the bat, then there's loads of different areas of the platform that are already like up and running. It's almost like a conglomeration of different factors all going into the same thing. Like, when you say you found sort of dubstep, obviously, primarily online. Like, what platforms at the time were you kind of looking at?
When I started the channel, you mean?
When you first sort of gained a sort of personal interest.
I think it was back in, I don't know, it was really through like the commercial dubstep at the time, at around 2010, 2011, and then I started digging deeper through I remember I was following about like 200 YouTube channels at that time, and that was basically just in general all like heavy stuff. But I was picking like stuff like, for example, Enigma Dubs is a great example for me personally. His stuff was still like heavy, but it has like a proper deep kind of I don't know, content to it, I guess. And those guys, like Hench recordings as well at the time, and I picked content from those guys, and it was with those guys and then those labels I first connected, and that's when I branded the Duploc.com channel. That's how I really got into that very sound, I guess.
Okay, cool. So, like, when we're like moving forward, then obviously we're now at a point, as I said, where there's so many different elements and platforms going on. So, the like, what would you say the primary kind of outlet of the main website is?
Well, I guess with every upload I do, I post an article, a review, and I try to feature basically all relevant releases within Dubstep or tracks basically which got released. So if you try to have like a good overview what's like new in Dubstep, you can just go to the website and just browse, I guess, and that's quite easy to find. Like it represents basically all labels within Dubstep, so that would be like the main platform. But also we have let me just check. Yeah, obviously we have the Dubstep Awards thing going on. We're working on a platform to curate like all Dubstep relevant events, just to get it on like one central place. And there's also, of course, the label stuff from my own label Duploc, which can be found on there. And obviously some interviews here and there, and then some top lists and whatnot.
Wicked. So again, I think the kind of the theme that I'm getting from this more than anything else is that it really is a platform that almost like summarizes what's going on in dubstep now.
Exactly, and that's my main goal as well as a promoter. I'm just trying to show just try to expose dubstep as a genre and as a culture, and to not only entertain like the current existing fans of it, because I'm sure most of them are aware of what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to like go viral with some of the YouTube uploads and just reach a new audience online basically, and just expose proper dubstep to them. I'm always interested in like YouTube algorithms and stuff like that, how to get like just how to reach more people and show them what dubstep is about.
Wicked. I mean, YouTube itself and that sort of idea of almost playing the algorithm is it's a very silky science. Like, do you find yourself getting almost sucked into that sometimes?
I try to do some research on that, but for example, what is really important for me is that when you type in dubstep into just search engines like Google or YouTube, it's like really hard to find anything which is like to the core values of the genre. And I'm like really aware of that. Now I've recently launched the Identity of Dubstep Mix series. We're launching the 5th episode soon. And those are actually getting some pretty good exposure in terms of those algorithms. As for example, when you type in dubstep, I think like the 30th or 40th search results on YouTube is one of those episodes, which I think that's very huge. Important.
That's huge. Yeah, that's really high up.
Definitely, and I'm not sure how it's possible. It's just also a little bit with luck, but I'm really like conscious of the tags, the YouTube tags I'm using and the hashtags and stuff like that. So it's just a constant daily battle to win from the YouTube algorithm, I guess.
Okay, so it's obviously YouTube is at the moment is an absolute battleground, especially with everything that's going on at the moment. It's almost as if like the competition's almost like doubled, especially for people who are just starting up. Like I think it's really, really cool to see though, because it does seem more than anything else like what you're doing is primarily trying to promote the genre and expand the genre from what you believe to be the core sort of values of the genre to people that may not necessarily have experienced that before. Like, have you had any experiences with this where you've almost like you know for a fact you've exposed someone new to it?
Well, honestly, it's actually a pleasure to mention that so many people who I'm talking now back to 2012, 2013, 2014, like those people who were just like found dubstep through my channel, and who were, for example, I'm just thinking out of the top of my head, like someone like Noklu, and then he started just producing dubstep, and then afterwards he is now basically just releasing on my label. So I think especially with like the new kind of producers, I think I just maybe a little bit subconsciously from their part, but they got somehow familiar through the channel. I think many people do, because back in the days, definitely at some good exposure know as well. But yeah, I think that's the main part as well, to keep like a scene or a genre like so lively, is just to get new people and especially new producers involved and like excited about it. And yeah.
Good stuff, man. I mean, it's really good what you're doing. Like, how many people are involved with the Duploc brand then? Is it just yourself, or is there like a team of people?
Yeah, man, yeah. It's completely myself. I run the website, the YouTube. I write the articles myself. I do some DJing bits as well. I run the label myself. Obviously, I have a designer and there's distribution people I work with and stuff like that. But just like the actual management is just myself, and you can guess it's pretty time consuming. So, but it's just my passion, man. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I love the culture around it. I think, especially just to go a little bit in depth into this, especially like, for example, the new stuff which is coming out from like Alexander. I'm not sure if you heard his new playlist.
Of course. Alexander with I think he's got a vowel missing in his name somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's like, I mean, like, the stuff he is releasing is actually proper dubstep, but that's like the stuff you can just airtime on like daytime radio on like national radio, and people are just like, oh, that's a cool vibe, that's a cool melody. And I think many people just do not yet realize like the full potential of the genre. Maybe a little bit about the name as well, because like the name dubstep just got a bad connotation to it. That's how I see it. It's getting better, but just in general, if you just talk to, especially here in Belgium, not sure how it's in the UK, but especially outside of the UK, I guess, if you mention like dubstep, everyone's like, wow, nah, that's just not for me. But if you show something like, for example, that Alexander tune, then they're suddenly like
they're suddenly more interested. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's also why I see like the newer producers mention more terms like bass music or 140. 140 is a really popular word to refer to dubstep recently, and I like it as well. I mean, like, I get where it's coming from. I understand why they're using that term. So yeah, it's all cool, man. It's lovely to see it evolving.
I mean, definitely. Like, from a review kind of perspective, when I'm putting together articles and sort of reviews on new dubstep releases that do fall into that sort of like, I want to say sort of classic sort of dubstep bracket, I definitely find myself kind of trying not to use the word dubstep as much as, for instance, like, I don't know, like dungeon sound and stuff like that, phrases that are more associated with the sort of sonics of what the genre that essentially is being pushed now is kind of what we're trying to look towards. It's just interesting to hear your opinion on it, to hear that like even you kind of noticed that kind of thing of people not wanting to necessarily use the term dubstep.
I mean, like, it's a complex. I think it's a little bit complex. I mean, like, there are obviously people like who still support dubstep, but I don't know if they do it like consciously. But I just see, especially new producers and new fans as well, just refer to it as 140. Also, I think simply because like the lines are a little bit blurred between like dubstep, trap, and grime lately. I'm not sure. I mean, they're still like. I'm not sure how to put it, but the sound definitely got, or a part of the sound definitely got more melodious, like it has more melody into it. So I guess why they're just going away from the term dubstep, but obviously and I think many people will just push the sound as being dubstep. But it's just interesting to see, because like I'm doing a little bit of a private research behind the scenes. I'm just sending like DJs, producers, labels, people from media. I'm sending them like a private survey to share their opinion. And it's like really interesting to see that quite many people just like mention, like, I use the term 140 just because I feel like it gives me more opportunities to I guess, in order to more opportunities in a way of like exposure and getting booked and stuff like that. So I'm not sure what exactly to think about it.
It's very interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah, definitely.
It's really, really interesting, and definitely. I mean, I've done the survey that you sent out, and I was looking on questions on there, and I think more than anything else, I don't know if it's a bit of like almost like I'm trying to think of the best way of saying it. Almost like a general sort of like mass consciousness that everyone's thinking and no one's saying. But it definitely does feel like this almost amalgamation of the different genres within that sort of 140 bracket becoming an overall genre called 140 is almost inevitable at some point.
Yeah, well, it's actually, you touch upon that because, like, I'm in good contact with Beatport as well, obviously with the other stores as well, but especially Beatport, the guy who curates the section, the left field bass section. And we've talked about it, it's a little bit of a funny name, and the guy who runs it knows it as well, but the company basically has its own thoughts about it. And I guess what I mean, like, I understand where they're coming from, but I was just suggesting, like, maybe I understand you cannot put like our stuff into the dubstep stuff. I understand the reasons behind it from like a company point of view, but I was just like mentioning or suggesting to just like call it 140 and see how it goes from there. And he was like, okay, let's maybe consider that, and we'll just see how it works. I'm not sure it will happen. This is like some real inside information, but just like sharing. I think it's important for especially stores as well to be very conscious about it. I see. The Spotify playlist, there is a Spotify playlist which is called Dubstep Dance with like the heavier stuff, and there's also a Spotify playlist, an official curated by Spotify, called Sub Low, and that's more like the stuff we're pushing. So I would definitely love to see something similar with, like, I don't know, I guess the Sub Low name is definitely cool, it represents it properly, but 99% of the content in that Sub Low playlist is just dubstep, so they just could call it dubstep as well. I mean, like, I'm not sure exactly how to think or how to feel about it, but like there's so many aspects to it, and I'm just always interested to like think about it and discuss these with other people involved. So,
it is a really interesting topic, man, and I think it is something we can go into for a long extended period of time. It's definitely something I'd like to talk about with you just on a general term at some point. But what we're going to jump into next is we're going to jump into one of the tracks off the most recent release, the War Dubs release, which I'm very excited to kind of look at. We're going to look at the Enigma Dubs remix of Wayside. Talk to me about this tune.
Oh yeah, okay, that's funny you picked that one. I didn't know you were going to pick that one. So Enigma Dubs, first of all, he's basically the reason. I won't go too deep into that, but he's basically the reason Duploc got where it is now. So when I thought about like doing a remix compilation to celebrate the label's 5th year anniversary, I immediately thought of Enigma Dubs to host like one of the remix, and he had like one of the first picks on the tunes which were available to remix, and he just picked that one, and I think like he did a massive job. It's also the first track of the 12-track album. So yeah, man, I mean, nothing but love for him and his remix, definitely.
Wicked, man. We're going to get into this one now, and then after that, we're going to get into a kind of conversation about the Dubstep Awards, this release in general, like what the sort of themes were behind it, and what's on the way in the future. So don't go anywhere. We are live on Cubcam TV. This is Brekky In The Cave.
You can't help that. Most everyone's mad here. Everyone's mad here. everyone's mad here. Everyone's mad here.
Right then, we are live on the line with man like Duploc right about now. That one, the Enigma Dubs remix of Wayside by Hebe Mele and Mr. K. So it's an exciting time. Obviously, we've got one of the main things I think a lot of people may have stumbled across Duploc for over the last couple of years is the Dubstep Awards. Like, how do you go about putting something like that together?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a background story to it. The Dubstep Awards are now running for 3 years, edition 2017, 18, and 19. But before the 2017 edition, that's the first real edition of the Dubstep Awards, we had just basically something like the Duploc Awards, which I ran, I think, for 1 or 2 years. And that was just only content which was available on my channel. The main idea was to just put light again, to shed some light again on the uploads I did that year, and people could vote what their favorite upload was. That was the main concept. And then in 2017, I thought, or I believed the genre just could use some extra exposure. Once again, I'm always aware of that exposure. And I just started putting it together. I made long lists. I contacted partners for it. We had Unearthed, Juno Download, we had the Real Dubstep community, the Reddit community involved, and a few others. We all made long lists, and we called over the phone a couple of times. And that's when we came with one, I think around 8 or 9 categories, like best EP, best DJ, stuff like that. And then we came with one long list, and we just started picking it from there. And then we came with the final list, and that went online basically in December 2017, and it got first of all, maybe it's relevant to mention, for the first edition, the opinions were definitely mixed. 100% people were not. The most concerns I had, or the most critic I got, was that underground music culture doesn't need any awards. But I talked to basically everyone to just share my point of view upon it, I guess. And I think I kind of convinced everyone, because the year after, in the 2018 edition, we got double amount of the votes, double amount of the exposure. And the last edition, it even got bigger, and now we had 45,000 total votes involved. I mean, it's not that much, but I guess for an underground community, which is just held online, the awards are just held online, I think it's okay. I'm definitely trying to up those numbers for this year's edition, but I think I'm kind of happy with those numbers for now.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's definitely something that I think is it's definitely got its a sense of renown. You know what I mean? Getting involved in the Duploc Dubstep Awards is something that is seen as quite a big deal for producers. It's something that people are very happy to be a part of. It's something that people are very happy to share as well. That's what I've seen. I see a lot of the people nominated sharing it around, and it's sick to see, and it's sick to actually have. On a personal note, I think it's actually sick to have that sort of almost centralized award scenario, because I think it means it's not necessarily something to aim for, because you should never aim for awards, but I think it gives some almost it's a good way of rounding up what's going on throughout the year.
Exactly. That was still the main concern, just to round up exactly like what was going on in that year. But as well, that's basically for the community involved. Everyone getting some recognition is always great for the producers and the labels. That's, from the feedback I heard, that's very important. But just to exposure-wise as well, people who are not familiar with dubstep and they see something like the Dubstep Awards, and I can maybe get 2 minutes of their time to check what dubstep is, and if you can then land on something which I'm hosting or on the YouTube channel or on the website and just have a quick listen, then it can maybe turn your vision or your vision on dubstep a little bit around. that's the main concerns I have when running it, or that's the vision behind it. But in general, it's just like giving recognition to the people, and I try to do it with maximum integrity, like really thinking everything properly through. I'm already working for this year's edition, which will be held in December 2020. But I'm already like working on it right now, just to make sure. We got everyone involved who deserves to be involved.
Good stuff, man. Right, we're nearly about to run out of time. So before we do, I want to pretty much quickly take a little dive into this new EP, the War Dubs project. Talk me through how it came together before we finish up.
I thought the label was 5 years old, and I thought like, okay, we have released over 100 tracks now, and some of those tracks were still like, I feel like most of the tracks, but definitely some were still like super relevant, and I just wanted to give them exposure once again, like put them in spotlight again, and I thought, to have a remix like hosted for it would be definitely beneficial to give it more promotion again. And we ended up having 12 remixes. Everyone who I asked to do a remix, I think, was able to do the remix, which I'm also really grateful for. It was a project I think I worked for 8 or 9 months on it, because it's like, you can imagine like getting every producer to first of all sort out the stems, and then like
it's a long. I think just for people that aren't aware, the amount of work that does have to go into a remix project is possibly it's possibly the most work you have to put into a project realistically.
100%. That's why I also put out that Duploc USB. I'm not sure if you saw it, but there were like Duploc USBs available which held the Duploc War Dubs album, but as well our entire discography of those 5 years for just like a little price to support our artists, and that had like 250 pieces and got sold out pretty much. It's unfortunately sold out now, but that was a little bit of a bonus to it for the loyal fans, I guess.
Wicked, man. Well, we're going to finish up with jumping into this one from Rigby, his remix of Shifted. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk this morning, and I'm sure we're going to be going back and forth quite a bit over email, just discussing ideas and stuff like that. I can already see that happening in the works. One time, what is the best social media way of getting in contact with Duploc?
I guess you can follow me on Instagram, official Duploc, and on Facebook. Facebook is probably the best way. It's just the official Duploc. I'm not sure why exactly official, but yeah, I mean, like it's. I just try and put it really.
Good stuff, man. Right, as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll speak soon.
Likewise, man. Thanks for having me, and have a great day, man.
You too, sir. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bless. Right, that was Duploc on the line for the last hour or so. We're about to finish up the show. We've run a little bit over, so we're going to run a couple of minutes of this last one, and then we're going to be done for the day. I'll be back same time tomorrow morning, where we're joined by Red Eye Hi-Fi and Duke Sky for Fresh Fridays. It's going to be a wicked show. Out to everyone who has been locked in today. I'm going to leave you with this one, and I will see you all very, very soon indeed. See you later. Goodbye.